clearly.
Okay.
I can hear you.
hear
It's very clear.
Okay, thank you. NNENNA SAM-OBIOHA is a published author, speaker, and chef. NNENNA is a customer experience professional with experiences that spans 16 years across financial services, telecoms, and supply chain. Her operational roles have also included the design and delivery of front and back-end customer initiatives, staff and service line management, sales advisory and relationship management, customer support and branch operations management with a holistic outlook on efficiency and effectiveness. NNENNA is passionate about positivity, entrepreneurship, service excellence, and building healthy relationships. She is a facilitator for the Africa Green Grant Award and also a member of the governing board of the Tope Olagbegi Circle of Influence. NNENNA has a knack for innovation and has channeled her creativity into writing, creation of Sprinkle of Positivity app, the Service Excellent Mentor Consulting, and Not Just Salad, a salad and food bar that runs online. NNENNA is a naturally talented writer and inspires others with her posts on her social media handles at Light Shining in the Dark, at The Excellent Service Mentor on Instagram, and NNENNA SAM-OBIOHA on LinkedIn. She lives in Nigeria and is happily married with 3 children. When she's not working, consulting, writing, or coaching, NNENNA loves to cook, listen to music, shop, and travel. Ladies of TOCI, please join me to welcome the most virtuous of us all, NNENNA SAM-OBIOHA.
Thank you so much, Abby, for the warm welcome. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Good evening, sisters. It would be great if you can unmute and say
Good evening, sis.
Woo! See the beautiful picture that Fortune is using to welcome me, and see my essay, my former essay. Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lara, Fortune, Tope, Benita, Mimi, Orifie. I hope I got that right. Aunli, Chioma, Debs, Busola, Kaine. Thank you everyone for joining. Fortune, you're muted though, before they start bringing and taking lights.
Hey,
They never take lights. The only thing they take is electricity or power. But we are the light of the world. So there's always light.
Hallelujah. They cannot take. I love that.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. So we'll just say a quick prayer and then we'll quickly begin. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for my sisters that I get to rub minds with and share your truths with. We ask that as we begin to divide these questions today, you give us insight, you give us clarity. In Jesus' name, we ask that your name alone will be glorified at the end of this. In Jesus' name, we have prayed. Amen. All right, sisters, thank you once again for joining me on this session. First of all, I'd like to just put out a disclaimer. I am not, my hand and my leg, never too strong for this marriage matter. However, they say that experience is the best teacher. So I am going to be sharing with you from my experiences, right? From my time as a single up until now. I have been married for over 11 years. It will be 12 years this year. I have known my husband since 2007. Who can do the quick maths for me? I mean, my maths is not very sharp like that. So let me do the maths. So 2007 minus
17.
Okay, good. Thank you. So I've known him for 17 years. And so I can say that we have been friends from that point on. And one thing I would just like to say is we have had our ups and downs. In fact, in the course of our dating, we got married in 2012. I broke up with him and I was sure that I was done. I did not look back, right? But marrying him is still the best decision I have made. I won't say, okay, so my best decision is knowing God, right? But it's one of my best decisions yet. And I'm not saying it to sound cliche. People know that me, I'm very blunt and I'm very open about stuff, right? But I'm saying this to encourage the singles among us, because a lot of people will say, oh, um, they are no good marriages. You see, they start making noise that there are no good marriages, there are no good marriages around, and all of that. But I want you to know that good marriages exist, but good marriages do not mean the absence of issues. Good marriages do not mean perfection, right? I'm sure you all know that they say that marriage is about two is about two imperfect people coming together. So something happened earlier today. Our daughter had written an exam. She's not here. Our daughter had written an exam, and in fact, one of the reasons I'm going to be very, very, very open. One of the reasons why my husband and I went to therapy were things like he lost his mom in 2021, and I just noticed that there was just this lackluster attitude towards everything that we used to do together as a family. So, classic example was we took our daughter. So what we do, we have a tradition when it's anyone's birthday, we celebrate at home. And one of the things we also do, apart from doing our celebrations at home, so my children don't do party pack to school, all those ceremony that they do birthday in school. It's not bad, but we have built a tradition where it's at home, nothing big, just cake, pastries, rice, and then everybody gets one big turkey wing to themselves. So it makes them feel good, and they call it respectful turkey. So it makes them feel good that, oh, I have a turkey to myself, right? And it gives them that sense of importance. So that's what we do. I think I've only done party pack once, but what we do is if it's one cake we have, they take the cake to school. Their school takes half of it, and it's for their teachers. The students don't really take, and then they bring it back because they had a culture at that time where people didn't used to, they don't give children things that are not packed. So, and my children don't mind. In fact, if I tell them today that in fact, we celebrated my daughter's 10th birthday as a play date where we had it was a cinema play date. We invited people they have an arcade as well. So people played and there was cinema. You know what my daughter said to me when we're packing the party packs? She said to me that, Mommy, please, after this birthday, I don't want to do any birthday where we invite people again. So it's not something I had to force them. It's something that they have grown to enjoy, that close-knit relationship. And I think that is a function of um, what they have seen their dad and I model. We quarrel, right? It's not like we don't quarrel. We really do quarrel. Now, I don't want to make this conversation so much about us, but I was going to share that earlier today, her results came out and my husband was very excited about it and everything. And I said to him, I said, does it not make you feel good that you were involved in this process? So I am the one that if I have an idea, I plan and I like to carry it out on time. But even if a deadline meets me, I will still do it. My husband can say something in January, that's going to do it in January. And by December of that year, we have not done that thing. At the end of the day, if deadline comes, it will be on my head. I'll not be the one running up and down. So that usually causes a lot of friction between us, right? As small as it sounds, I have I've had to miss out on visa appointments because of things like that. So it can be really, really painful. And when it happens, sometimes I want to do my own back to him. Sometimes I do it back. I'm not I'm not advocating for this thing, but I do it back in things that will pain him too. So he lost his mom, it affected him. And so we went for a dinner one time with it was one of our children's birthday, and we went and all of us were sitting down saying, okay, what is the thing that you like about her? And when it got to his turn, we were talking to my husband. He didn't answer us in front of the children. It was his turn. He didn't answer us. He was just pressing his phone. And I tapped him and I said, I was still giving him sign that you can't be doing this in front of the children. I was giving him. He looked at me like, and he continued what he was doing. So those kind of things have happened, right, in the marriage. And you can imagine how it feels for a woman, right? And where your children will listen and say, what is wrong with daddy? That kind of thing. And he's not answering them, and it's you that's having to answer. It can be really painful. Punctuality is a problem, timeliness, everything. So again, it doesn't change the fact that marriage is still beautiful, right? I am very, what's the word? I can be very opinionated. So if I believe in something, I will speak up for it. And I'm going to tell him, I don't agree with this. And so I've been accused time and time again of being disrespectful to him. But that was the same thing my husband saw that he loved. So you see how as life is. He will say that that's what he likes. I can look him in the face and tell him that what he has done is wrong, and I will own it. And he would, I will actually not budge until he has made an improvement. Now, the difference between getting all those feedback and now is that I have now gotten to a place where I can say it and say, I don't like this thing you're doing, and I will just drop it. And that time again, I'll bring it up again. And if he tries to, I'll drop it. I can say it like 4 times before I eventually now shake body and do it, right? In the past, that thing, we're going to pin on it until there's a change. I'm not going to agree, especially because we had an agreement. We're going to stick to agreement. I believe in sticking to agreements and everything. So he used to see it like, what's my own? I'm stressing him. I'm giving him BP issues. They will be talking, but they won't remember the times where they are giving you headache, right? Now, I have to say that we were able to get to this point because a number of the things that came up that I had to put my foot down on were things that we had discussed at the time we were dating, right? And so we were clear about the kind of home we wanted to build. We were clear about how we wanted to do stuff. It doesn't mean that we have to follow those things like hook, line, and sinker, but at least they provide a guide, right, for how you're going to run your lives and the kind of home. So when my daughter's result came out and he was happy, why I said to him, what I said to him was, I said, does it not feel good? There's a joy that comes with knowing that you put in work and it worked out, right? So what were the things he did? He was encouraged. So during COVID, I just used that to remove my hand from everything that has to do with school because I wanted to die. I was the only one, Alpha and Omega of school, and it wasn't like that when they started. So I did it up until the point where I said, no, this is, because COVID, they had to do a lot of technical work. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this again, right? We agreed that we're going to do stuff together. I want an involved partner. For me, it's not money. Don't give me money and tell me sort it out. Please, school fees, I don't know anything about it. Please go and pay. He pays that, right? But when it comes to maybe there's open day, I just realized after some time, he was no more interested in those things and everything like that. So I will talk, we'll quarrel. After the quarrel, he will eventually go the day he wants to go. Other times he'll tell me that he has a meeting, I will do it. Some other times I will say we should go together. And he'll say things like, why do you want me to go with you when you're already going? I said, for me, I think that it does a lot for the emotional health of the children. And that is what we agreed that we were going to do as parents. So please, let's do it. So sometimes he will say it's my tone that will make him not do it. You can hear the noise they're making. These are the issues. So, for an example, right? I said he should bring down his voice. I wanted to use where he was for the live. He now said no. And he had prayed with me before I came on this live. You see, he had prayed with me in good mind. And I said, please bring down your voice. So I'm going to have it. And I said, there's no way I'm going to bring down the TV because of you. You have to find where you're going to sit. Anyway, so at the end of the day, he was the one that helped me do this background. But that one cannot cause fight. If it was me or before, I said, I don't understand that you cannot, is it not two of us that got this property together? Is it not, and everything? But in all of this, right, you only get to a point where you can put your foot down on some things and get away with it when you have also invested, right? And so we're going to get to that point. But where I want to hinge this conversation is on the fact that before we can ask questions or make demands on people, right, we have to know who we are. And so at the core of who we are three different facets, right? What is your relationship with God? That's number one. Like, who is God to you? What do you know of God? A lot of times we don't know what our purpose is. And I always say that you cannot know purpose outside of God, right? And so first of all, you must also understand what your purpose is. Who is God to me? What has God said about me? Where is my life headed? So that's number one. Number two is our relationship with people. So our relationships generally. This is not about romantic relationships. It's about everything relationship. What do people say the most about you? What feedback do you get the most? How do you treat people? How do people treat you? Because the way people treat us is a reflection of how we also position ourselves, right? And so you cannot expect that. And I'm not saying that a lot of times we say that we don't have a control over how people treat us, but the truth is that we have a lot of control over how people treat us. Because, we say dress the way you want to be addressed, right? It's a saying, dressed as you want to be addressed. The same way, position yourself as you would like people to position you. So for instance, if I want to position myself as an authority in a field, I'll make sure that every conversation I'm having, everything I'm doing aligns with who I am and my purpose, right? And so that is the second thing. Number 3 is who you are to yourself. A lot of us.
Sorry, Nigeria scored. It's okay. Don't
That's my
worry.
son.
Sorry.
That thing I see is my son.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, they're fine. They're even enjoying the sounds.
Okay, so number 3 is who you are to yourself. You can lie to everyone else, but you cannot lie to yourself. And so it's important that in secret, you have to discipline yourself to a point where who you are in secret matches your persona in the open. A lot of us have not come to the point of self-awareness, right? And self-awareness comes from a place of evaluation. How often do you evaluate yourself, right? How often do you sit back and reflect on how you participated in something, right? What was my role in this issue or in this incident? One of the things that Mamu used to say that she liked about me when we were doing the sessions. In fact, Mamu had to separate my husband and I in sessions. Because when he's talking, this is how I'll be doing. That's how I'll just be doing. And so he too, he will just have that wall that he's not even going to talk again. That kind of thing. So she just said, God told her that she should separate. In fact, she had a dream even before we reached out to her for counseling. She had a dream the year before. And one of the things that she said God said to her, she shared the dream. It didn't make sense to her. It didn't make sense to me until we started the sessions. When we started the sessions, we saw that these two people, I cannot leave them together in one room. This one is hot. And this one is trying to prove that he's a man. And this guy is not going to agree at the end of the day because I had justifications for why I had to stand my ground. And again, she didn't blame me, right? She felt that my justifications were very valid. At the end of the day, the only thing she wanted me to do was, okay, manage how you communicate it, just so that he doesn't feel like his ego is being bruised. You're listening to me, go downstairs. This conversation is not for babies. Thank you. Go downstairs.
Why?
Go downstairs. I'll tell you why later. Thank you. Okay, so at the end of the day, right, 3 things I've said for the benefit of those who just joined. At the core of premarital relationships, marital relationships are 3 things. Number 1, the place of God. And I'm not saying the place of God for religion's sake. If we don't have an awareness of who God is, an awareness of who God has said we are, there is no way you can effectively function in relationships or effectively manifest the true nature or harness the opportunities in those relationships. So that's 1, the place of God, number 1. Number 2, who you are in relationships. Are you the kind of person that people say you are the MVP? What's your role in relationships? So if you find that in relationships, you often play the role of influencer, or you often play the role of the person that gathers people together, you often play the role of the one that reconciles people, that's your strength. And so it comes to that place where you understand who you are in relationship, what people say about you, what's the feedback you get most of the time. Mr. Sam, you are making noise, sir. Who you are most of the time. And so number 3 is who we are to ourselves. Many times we hurt ourselves by the way we speak to ourselves. Honestly, a lot of us don't even value ourselves and we want other people to value us. And these things have a way of seeping in to the point where even outside, you've told yourself you're not good enough. The other day we did the thing about our dressing, right? And how we dress, how we should dress to suit our body types and everything like that. And we see that a lot of times people have told themselves some things, say, this kind of cloth fits me better than the other cloth. This one fits me. And so you find that you begin to wear things like that more without even knowing that it's the other one that you say you don't like that even suits you better. And so if you don't really understand, first of all, your body type, know what to wear, understand your face. Somebody has said to me that, for instance, I will never feel comfortable wearing something that brings out my breast. So I will not wear it. because number one, I'm not even going to become, it's not true to my nature, right? And so what is the thing that comes naturally to you? What are my likes? What are my preferences? What are the things that I can manage? What are the things I cannot manage? For instance, the things that I can look away from. When I shared the videos of me in the village doing those things, a lot of women will say they can never do it. And so if you know that that's something, maybe at the time when we're getting married, you told me I would have done that thing. Maybe I would have said, no, why would I go and do that? What? For what? If they don't want to marry, they should leave, blah, 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 blah. But now I'm doing it without anybody even prompting me, right? And it comes from a place of self-awareness. Like, what is that image I want to have? And I'm not doing it because I need their validation. I'm doing it because I want to sell God. I want to sell God. And for me to be able to sell God effectively, right, I have to bring out that beauty that comes from serving God. And what is the beauty? They know that I'm beautiful. So I don't need to go and prove to them that I'm a fine girl. They know that I work and I'm a leader in my place of work. I don't need to go and prove to them that I'm a leader in that place. So a lot of times we go through a lot of needless pain trying to force something. If I ask you today, like if you want to talk about, oh, customer service today, who are you going to call? You will naturally call me, because more often than not, every time I see those kind of conversations, they catch my attention. And so I'm tilted towards discussing it and talking about it. So the most important thing is God has made us in his image and likeness. And so knowing that he has made us in his image and likeness, what is that image? You have to even understand, what is that image? In his image and likeness, God has a lot of parts to him. What part of him have I taken? They say that me, I can be lion and lamb. I know the place where my gra starts and end, and I know when to leave it, right? You must know those things. It's not, there are a lot of woke conversations going on online that are totally on the opposite side of what God says that we should do. In being, what's the word? In being reserved, right? What I mean reserved is that there's a place for putting your foot down and asserting yourself, but there's also a place of hearing the other person, right? And even understanding their whys and why you do things they do. I hear a lot of things. Singles, I read and hear a lot of things, and I see that a lot of the mindsets we have, they are born out of the pain other people have gone through. They are born out of the stories we read online. And we fail to realize that life is not necessarily that bad. But when we see those stories, what we need to tell ourselves is, okay, what is the learning point here? Rather than make it your own reality, what is the learning point? What are the things that I can learn and improve on when I meet somebody or in my own relationships? When we just got married, I used to project the fact that my father was a cheat on my husband. If you watch any movie that has somebody cheating like this, if you should make mistake and say anything that is not in alignment with virtue, that he will say, the woman too did not do it, I'm going to be very offended. As in, it used to trigger me. My husband would just stand up and leave that place. He knows that he has already offended me. I will not ask him that only God knows what you are even doing. How am I even sure you're not even doing the same thing? And it will really offend me and it will spoil everything. We might have been having a good day and it will just spoil everything until God healed me, because I realized that I had my own flaws as well. It's very easy to look at another person and be saying there. And so when I realized that reading those things, so watching those things, they affect me. I just had to. It takes a while. My husband was speaking to one married guy that came to him to talk or counseling. That's why my husband was saying, my wife used to do this thing. Oh. My wife used to do this. In fact, if you ask my husband then that, did he make a good decision marrying me? He would say he loved me, but that I wasn't sure that he made a good decision. But now that story is different, right? That story is different. So the truth is, you can meet somebody who God has actually given you a clear revelation that is your husband, and you will still misuse the opportunity, right? God will show you, it's like God giving you a job, but the responsibility of maintaining status quo, the code of conduct of your organization, following company policy is in your hands. God is not going to come down and do that for you. So God has given us guidelines for marriage. At the end of the day, we are the ones who will determine how it plays. Are there good people? Yes. Are there bad people? Yes. Are there people that we shouldn't marry? Oh, yes. There are people that we shouldn't marry. If you know that I cannot do things that are village things like the one that I did, then don't marry somebody that is a traditional man, right? But again, it will be unrealistic. It will be unrealistic of us right? To be single and looking to search. And the only reason why we're going to let me mute her.
I've
And
muted, I've muted.
the only reason you will cancel somebody is because they are village people. In my husband's family, he's the one that stands out the most. There are learned people there, but he stands out the most because of the kind of job he does, the people he has mixed with, and also my own effect on him as well. There are some things I cannot even say. I can tell you in private, but I might not even say it here because this is going to go on the web and everything like that. But again, it will be hard for you to meet people that tick all the boxes, but you have to decide what are the things that I can live with. What are the things that at the end of the day we can work together to make it better? Because you on your own side, you're not perfect. You're not. All right. So I have a number of questions here that I have been asked, and I will just quickly share. I'll just quickly read out. There are a lot of questions. I had to ask the singles for the questions that they would like me to speak on. I have my own questions already, right? The ones I said I always ask standard that shared with a number of people in TOCI. I also reached out to Mamo. Please, can you mute your mic, Sister Busola? I also reached out to Mamu and I said to her, Mamu, is there anything that you would like me to touch on in this conversation, right? Because I understand that she's an authority in these things, even though people have said to me that, oh, I know how to address this, but at the end of the day, you can never know it better than somebody who has those conversations on a daily basis. So these questions I'm going to be sharing with you, they're a mix of things I got from the ladies in waiting group, my own questions and the questions from Mamu. Number one question, I've talked about, how does he see God? Now, in how the man sees God, we must remember that men are not like us. If you're looking for the man that's going to be spirit coco before you marry, that is like you, that wakes up at midnight and reads the Bible every day, my sister, they exist though, but I need you to understand that that is not the only thing. This Mr. Sam that I'm living with is not like that. We pray together morning and night. Eh? But that you see that midnight, if he's awake, I can say, come, let's pray. He will pray. But that he'll be waking up at midnight with me to pray, he doesn't do it. But it doesn't change the fact that I am happy that I married him. It doesn't mean that he's not doing the other things he's supposed to be doing. So we're going to be shooting ourselves in the leg. If you will see my most video of she and Uncle Dikko jumping up in church, you will not think that that's the kind of person that the man has to be jumping up like that. you go, wait, oh, you have to be patient, because even when you now meet that one that's jumping up and down, some of them are empty inside when it comes to values. You know, there's a place of knowing the word. Somebody can know the word. And when it comes to the other things, emotional sensitivity is zero. They don't have it. Emotional sensitivity, and that's what we women like. That's what resonates with us. The man doesn't have it. He's not even ready to work hard financially. He's not ready. I'm not saying tycoon. When I met my husband, he did not have car. In fact, he just started work that year. So he did not have anything, and he was the breadwinner in his line, not lineage, but in his family. So you can imagine. And I said he didn't used to buy me any gifts. My husband only bought me gift twice in the 4 years plus that we dated. And so I need us to understand that some things are things that happen over time. Some of the things, is the person even willing to even pray? Does he acknowledge God? The place that you now say no is where you see the person trash talks Christians. The person questions who God is, questions the power of God, questions everything about Christianity, then that's a red flag. But if it's somebody that has a teachable heart, he acknowledges God, he deserves a chance. Can he submit to spiritual authority? Does he even listen to people? My husband used to do the DTI class, discipleship training. That class, maybe he attended twice. And I know that he wasn't attending it because of me. He had zeal, but the energy to match it was not there, because by the time he does ACC and everything like that, it wasn't there. But if it was me, I would have found a way to do it. So I need us to understand that the motivation level that women have, if you look at the Bible, apart from the disciples, for most of the places where Jesus, I know they talked about 5,000 people that he gave fish and bread and everything, but if you look at most of the notable names that stood out in the Bible, they are women. They are women that did thoughtful things. Martha, Mary, talk about those people. It's women. And so the disciples, they had to call them. Mary and Martha, nobody called them. They were doing their things by themselves. The disciples, they had to go and call them. So initiative, you need to understand that men don't have the kind of initiatives that you and I have. They don't. Many of them don't. You have to point the attention to things, sometimes multiple times before it can stick. And so if you're looking for the one that will just understand, once you just wink like this, he gets it. My husband and I in that place now where I'm thinking something, he's also thinking about the same thing. I'm not joking, no jokes. Like he will literally say the same thing I'm thinking in my head. It happens. But it was not like that before. I used to wonder, like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, they have to take it doesn't mean that it's getting things right too. I wanted to eat a slice of bread today, and it was on top of a tray that I had used to eat something. And I said, it was going out. After I took the slice, and I gave him the bread, I said, you should help me take it back downstairs. Do you know, my husband saw the tray of food there. He left the tray and took only the bread. So when I now said to him, and I said, take the tray now. I didn't even know that. Me, in my head, I was virtuous. I didn't know that. I said, take the tray now. He now said, I've told you before that if you want to say it nicely. Which one is take the tray? You are saying it as if, no, am I not thinking? I said, okay, sorry. That's an example. They don't, and it's not deliberate. They don't process things as we do. All right. And so we must also remember that when we're placing our expectations, let's not place it too high to the point where you cannot see a human being that can do it too. When my maid is off, my husband will talk about the fact that maybe you have a maid. Why should I be helping you cook in the kitchen when you have a maid? This is someone that used to cook on his own before. You know, I remember him cooking stew with rice and giving me. He brought it for me when we were dating. He has only entered the kitchen 2 times to cook since we got married. And I know he cooks well. And he will say, why should I enter the kitchen to cook when we have a maid? Meanwhile, when we're dating, he had told me how we'll be doing everything together. But those things are not happening now. It will be very unrealistic of me to now base my fight on those things when there are bigger things to fight about. And so, first of all, have we even defined the things that we want, the things that we like? How are we talking about them? How are we discussing them? So I talked about the fact that the person has to be somebody that honors God, right? He can submit to spiritual authority when push comes to shove. He can. A lot of times we don't ask those questions. And not that you ask him, can you submit to spiritual authority? If a guy loves you so much, you have not given him the cookie, like they call it. If you ask him that question, he's going to tell you yes, he's going to submit. Maybe we'll marry you first. I eat what he wants to be there. Come and force me. Then you now say you want to divorce him because he did not submit to spiritual authority. Your family members will ask you that, is your pastor bigger than your God? That's what they will ask you. They'll say you should put your knees down and start praying. So the kind of things you want to ask him is, oh, there's this disciple, and it's how we talk about it, tact. Oh, there's this discipleship training that we're doing in church. It's something I would like to enroll for. It would be nice if we can go together. That's how you say it. And you know, if you roll his eyes and say, all those Christians, those fake pastors, there's a way you elicit response from people, and it's their candid. And as he says that, you're not going to rule him out in that one time. You cannot have conversation. Oh, see what I saw online today. What do you think? And then he tells you what he thinks. And that's how you know how people truly are. All right. And so a lot of times we say, oh, somebody has, there are people that can be deceptive, right? But more often than not, if we ask very telling questions, people can also change. Situations can make people change over time. But if we ask telling questions, it gives us an idea. So the number one thing I've said is, do they honor God? How do they see the things of the Spirit? Are they willing to even pray with you? When you say, oh, I have this thing, pray with me. I have this life. Every time I'm going on the live, I'll ask my husband to pray with me. If I don't say you should pray with me, he cannot remember. He will not remember. And it's something that I've done every time I have a life. He will still not remember. So I will tell him, okay, please pray with me. All right. And he will pray. There are people that will tell their husband, pray with them. And the man will say, not husband. So the person they are dating, and the person will say, what's the point in it? The most important thing is what you're going to say. You are smart, you are sound. Go and say it. That is telling of the kind of person they are. I said it's telling. I'm not saying that that's the only thing, because some people will feel that since it's knowledge, go and share the knowledge. But at least, does he even pray with you in the morning? Does he pray in the morning at all? Right? Those are the kind of questions you will. Does he go to church? And when he goes to church, I'm not saying going to church is the only indication, no, but at least it shows that the person even values the things of God. And when he goes there, does he trash talk the people he sees there? So that's one. Number two, health status. This one is very important. It's better to have this kind of conversations early on. You don't want to be deep inside the love before you start finding out that the person is AS and you are AS. You don't want to be deep inside and be finding that it's AC and you are AS. You don't want to be there, and that's why you're finding out his HIV status. So you have to start asking those. And how do you ask? Oh, is knowing your HIV status something you're willing to do? Right? That's how I went to check my own the other day. And this is, just something. Or you bring up a conversation that you read online. See, I read this thing online. What's your perspective? Of the opportunity. Sorry, did you hear me? I think I need to switch
No,
off
you were
SIM settings.
breaking.
Can anyone hear me?
You were breaking. We can
It
hear
was
you now,
frozen.
but we didn't hear you for like 10 seconds.
Please tell me you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right, sorry. A call came in. I switch off my SIM settings now. I'm coming. Let me respond to her. All right, thank you. Okay, so again, you want to know, what did you say?
No, the last thing you said, you were asking, saying the tax
I can't
to
hear you,
ask for
Abby.
HIV status.
I can't hear you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I can hear
HIV
you
Can
now.
you hear me now?
status.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the last thing you said was that is how we will ask for about HIV status.
Yeah, those are the
That was
kind
the
of
last thing
things
we
you.
heard.
And then again, HIV is not the end of the world, really. There are antiretroviral drugs that people take now. Is even safer than plenty other sicknesses. It's the least. But if those things are important to you, you want to ask those questions, right? You also don't want to enter, and that's when you're now finding out. Things like prostrate, things like sexual capabilities. When you see articles about those things online, just use it as gist. And there's some gist that is when you are eyeball to eyeball and you understand the body language. So for the bulk of for the bulk of my relationship, right, our relationship was distant. I think I only saw my husband 4 times in the 4 years. But we used to do a lot of phone conversations. We talk like 3 times every day for hours, morning, afternoon, night. Then the night one is when he gets back, we'll go to business center and sit down there and we'll talk. Fridays, we'll now do extra cool till the early hours of the morning. So we did plenty of talking. I like gist. And he wasn't so much of a talker, but he enjoyed our discussions. And so we used to have plenty discussions. And so you know how it is where you have gotten to that place where you have built friendship, you can really talk. And so it was also easier because my cousin and him were classmates throughout school. So I had someone that already knew him and had a background as to his person and all. Right. So all the other things were things that um, God told me in the dream about his family setup. I had clear dreams, and I would say to him that, is this the kind of house you used to live in when you were growing up? And he would say yes, that they still live there. Very clear, vivid dreams. I will give him descriptions and he will say, yes, it's true. That's how their house is. So it was like he shielded me from those kind of things. Not like he didn't come to tell me that he was a big boy, but he wasn't talking about his background because I feel like maybe he thought that was going to discourage me. But when I had the dream, for instance, the dream was a really nasty dream. Dream about, how those houses in the barracks look. Like you see water, green water, like green algae on the wall, right? All those houses that have multiple face me, I face you kind of thing. I saw that in the dream and I asked him, I said, was this kind of, I saw this, I saw that. Was this kind of house you grew up in? And he said yes. And that they still live there, So um the things of the spirit many times are spiritually discerned. As much as you ask questions, asking the questions I have to say does not guarantee the success of your marriage, but it can also give you a good landing and a good foundation for a lot of things. And it can serve as a good reference point. So today, if I want to make a case and say this, and I said, but this is what we discussed, he cannot it makes him feel like a liar or becomes an integrity issue. I'll tell him that it's an integrity issue. We had a conversation about this thing. You cannot come and tell me. It's like you're pulling the rug under my feet. We had a conversation and this is what we agreed we're going to do. So why are you now changing it? So you will now hinge it on the fact that the way I'm saying it is not sitting well with him. I said, okay, sorry, if it's the way I'm saying it. But what are we going to do about it, knowing that this is what we said? So he might not eventually do it at that time, but he will do it at the end of the day. Right. And so that's what those kind of conversations do for you. It tells you, does the guy even have integrity? Does he stick to the things that you guys have agreed? All right, so I'll quickly move along to the other one. What does success look like to you? What does failure look like to you? You want to know how they are like. If they lose their job tomorrow, what's their behavior going to be like? Are they likely to want to commit fraud to make ends meet? Are they the kind of people that they only like to roll with the big boys? I'm not saying rolling with people that have made it is a bad thing, so to speak. But if those are the only kind of people that you want to roll with, then it's a problem. It's a problem. Are you developing other people that you are looking for only big people? Because what happens is it also speaks to greed. It also speaks to the need to want to meet up, to measure up so badly. Is the man satisfied with what he has? And by satisfied, I don't even mean that he's not ambitious. I mentioned on this call that my husband only bought me things twice in the course of our relationship, right? And that's because he did not want to. Exactly. He didn't also want to. I never saw him take a loan. The only loan he took was maybe loan to buy. What was it if he wanted to buy then? I think it was when he wanted to buy his car eventually. Right? He took a loan and he was paying up gradually. But the bulk of the money came from his purse. And it was from the bank. He was entitled to that loan, you know. And so it's not that somebody you go and collect loan from Ray Money, collect loan from bank, collect loan from everywhere. Your checks are everywhere. And then when they now come to collect their money back, people's checks are bouncing. That's an integrity issue. So what does success look like? What does failure look like? Can they even handle failure? A lot of men cannot handle things when things don't go well for them. That's when you see them, they'll start doing one kind, doing kind. But again, as much as it hits them so badly, how do they behave in those instances? So when you see or hear how they will behave, a lot of them might not have experienced failure or success. They've experienced success, most people have experienced, but failure, you can ask them, oh, has there been an instance, or share your own story? Oh, there was a time, blah, 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 this is how I handled it. I felt so bad, I felt so this. What about you? Has it ever happened to you before? Just those kind of things. And with men, don't ask very direct questions. If you're asking the question in a way that, what's your health status? What does success look like to you? What does failure look like to you? When my mom used to overhear our conversation, she would say, question here, don't let this guy go. Don't let this guy go. That's what she'd be saying. And I'm not telling her that, please, that her standard and my own are not the same thing. That the standard that she has is what made her go and marry somebody that is not cheating on her. I said she should please allow me. She will not say my mouth is bad. So, but again, you have to ask those questions, ask direct questions, ask questions. Because that's how my mom did not know that if my father experienced failure, he'll be drinking anyhow. She didn't know that. Because they did not even court, they did not even date. I like your family. Let me marry your daughter. And that's how they got married. So we need to have conversations. And what the conversations will do for us, they don't necessarily shield us from problems. But what they do for us is that it prepares your mind to know what to expect. And then you now ask yourself also that, is this something that I want to go ahead with? Is this something I can deal with? A lot of times we'll say we can deal with it, but we need to start praying. The things that I thought I could deal with, for instance, this timeliness thing, I saw everything. My husband was always late for every counseling class. Always. I saw that one with my full eyes. But I wasn't as self-aware as I am now. And I felt that one was small. It's a small thing. But that small thing annoys me. All right. So you ask yourself, is this something you can deal with? But if you see a guy that is always late, it's not enough reason to leave the guy. Please marry him. If you come and meet me, I'll tell you to marry the guy. Don't run, marry him. Again, so what do we see if we are ever in trouble? What does he see? Is he willing to go to God? Is he willing to seek the counsel of his family members? Who are the kind of people that he listens to? And as I'm asking this question for the guy, even for us as women, who do we go to when we have problems? Some people, when they have issues, that's when they surf the internet the most. You will see them on every post. They are liking every post on the internet. Abby, you want to laugh? Laugh well now. You understand? That's when you see their like on every Instagram post that flies past. You see them there. It speaks to a vacuum. I'm not saying don't like posts of people that you know, but and you see their comments too. It speaks to a vacuum. that people are looking to fill. And so you ask yourself, how do you handle failure? How do you handle success? If you're in trouble or things are not working well, who do you go to first? Do you go to God? Do you even have a circle that is godly enough to hold you up in prayers and pray with you? I have to be honest with you, many men don't have it. They don't. But this is another thing that, to be honest, I can't even say is a reason to leave somebody. But you have to know the people they are talking to. Who are their friends? Are their friends the kind of people that will tell them that, oh, let's go and do drugs? So if you smoke this thing like this, babe, you forget your worries. Then that one is a red flag. The time there's nightclub to go and drink is the only way to forget their fears. That one is a problem. So maybe your prayer is, if you love him so much, you don't want to leave him. Your prayer will not be that God will give him good people. And before you marry him, you have to be sure that the good people have come. Because if they have not come and you now go ahead again, just know that that's the already prayer point from day one of the marriage. Me, I've prayed prayer that my husband's relationship with somebody should scatter before, and it's scattered. I've prayed the prayer. It's scattered as in, when I mean scattered, it's not as if they fought, but that one relocated. The guy relocated with his family, but they are still in touch once in a while. Well, again, the guy was not a bad guy. He was just a normal guy, just normal random guy, But I didn't feel like their combination together was okay, because every Friday you now want to go and drink together, and this one is not a drinking person. You're a ceremonial drinker. All of a sudden, you want to cultivate it as habits. You say it's only champagne, one glass of wine. So from one glass of wine, people will say, let's not waste this money. Let's finish one bottle. Let's do another bottle. There's still time. Let's watch the match. Those are the kind of things that you need to ask yourself if you can deal with. All right. Another thing, will you ever leave the church community? For a lot of us, we say we have church hurt and we leave the church because of that. So when you leave that church, do you go to another church, or you just say you're not doing church anymore? I get it. The church is you and I, right? It's not about the building, but you need the community. You need the community. I say to people that have grown more in TOCI than I've grown in the church, in my church. I've not grown in my church because I'm not in any team. The only way you can grow is when you belong to a team and you are integrated in church. That's the truth. But I feel like I've grown more here. When I was in school, yes, I was in fellowship and I was very active. But I've grown more in TOCI. Like what I've gained in TOCI, my church can never give it to me. And that's also because I'm not in any team. You have to be in a team, and that your team has to be a team that is also serious. Who is the team leader? Because again, we see that in church, there's also the politics of churches nominating people who volunteer, not necessarily people who are spiritually mature. So it's the people that they see the most that are in their faces, at top of mind, that people make leaders in church. At least they come for every program. But coming for every program, you see somebody that is in protocol in church. Sunday to Sunday does not hear the word of God because it's passing cars and telling people where to sit. But they're not paying attention to the things happening in church. So how do they want to grow? And then after that, do they even go back? Do they even go back to play back? How many of us, even in TOCI, how many of us go back to play recording? I don't play recording. That's the truth. I think maybe once or twice. But many of us never really go back. We have to be honest with ourselves. Many of us never really go back to play recordings. So if you now see somebody, person is in protocol in church, you now conclude that because he's in church and he's in protocol, he has spiritual maturity. You'll be pleasantly surprised. You might be able to quote scripture. All right. And so that he's vibrant, a worker in church. He's the one that helps the pastor go and put his Bible. I'm not joking. I've seen people that I know in my church that used to do that, and they were not spiritually mature. I found out later, the guy gisted me. He was the one who told me himself. He had an affair. His wife too now went to have an affair back, and she got married a virgin. To get back at him, she went to do her own back, and she was a pastor's child. He used to help pastor to go and put his this thing on the podium. So what I'm trying to say in essence, this is not me judging him. What I'm trying to say in essence is that that's not the true test of the spiritual maturity of the person you want to marry. No, don't base that judgment on that thing at all, because you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. All right. So I've spoken about that. Another thing is, I talked about, okay, what do I do when I can't get through to you? Right? Well, if you can't get through to the guy, what do? What are the things he likes? How do you like me to reach you? Some people say, just leave me to myself for 30 minutes, for 1 hour. Let me just, and as he's telling you, so you to be saying your own too, with the hope that the thing will enter. With the hope that it will enter, because I said it at the beginning of this. So if you think that the man is paying attention the way he will pay attention, no, it depends on how you play the game, how you play your cards. But not all of them are sensitive as we are as women. And so as you are placing your expectations on him, just know that don't place it too high, so that you don't get heartbroken if he doesn't remember your birthday. My own did not used to remember my birthday that time. It's in marriage that I caused problem and raised dust before they now started remembering birthday. In fact, he didn't believe in birthdays. That's why he didn't remember. They never celebrated birthdays growing up. And I asked myself, is that something I can live with? Birthday is too small for me to say I'm not going to marry a guy now. Valentine's Day is too small for me to say. Even I didn't believe in Valentine's, but then I just also didn't want the person I'm in love with to feel left out on that day. That's why I make an effort. But it's not a big deal to me. If my husband says to me today that we're not celebrating Valentine's Day, it will not be a big deal, but I'm going to make sure that I make something special at home for he and everyone to eat and feel good. But it's not a big deal for me. But there are some people that your deal breaker is that they did not give you birthday gifts. They did not give you Valentine's gifts. That's they Igbo people say fa 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 fa. Oh. It doesn't make sense. But again, if you like gifts, communicate it and start giving. That's your love language. It's fine. But you have to ask yourself, some love languages, are they deal breakers? Really, are they? Like they did not give you a gift. It's not, to be honest, it's not a deal breaker for me. I only raise those because I want him to be paying attention to it. So now he can travel and buy us stuff. And that's something that maybe he normally wouldn't have thought of. My husband wouldn't have thought of it. We are traveling, I will tell him that, please, what are we buying for your mom? He wasn't thought. And his mom was very generous. But I think that she probably wasn't intentional about making him understand those things. And so I had to do the work. And so now he does it. But I told myself that you have to choose your battles. What are the things that you can say no to a guy for? What are the things that can impede on your progress? If he doesn't buy you a gift, can he impede on your progress? He didn't call me on my birthday. You will say it. You tell him that it's important to me, call me. But me, my husband, if he has to walk outside the country and he goes and he doesn't call me because he's not a phone call person, how I reset him, because after we got married, that's when all this, I'm not a phone call person started. Before, he used to call back to back, finish me with phone call. And then all of a sudden, if he travels and doesn't call me, I will wait that day. I will call him, we will talk. But the next day, if he's waiting for me to call him, I'm not going to call him that day. I will not call him the next day. If he's calling me, I will not pick his call, to let him know that don't do that. You know that I've told you that I don't like this thing. Call your family to check on your family. You left a whole family at home. Call us. But again, is this something that I should be causing fight for? To be honest, my husband will now say to me that, okay, if I don't call you, you can call me. And I'll say, I don't have a problem calling, but it must not be me. I need to also feel that you miss me too. So miss me, call me. But again, it's not such a big deal. But if it's happening in a relationship, just know that that guy is not into you. It's not into you. If it's happening in a relationship, it's supposed to be calling you, wanting to talk to you, wanting to see you. It's not into you. So you need to start asking questions. When a man is in love, they chase with all their energy. Unless the effect you have on him has worn off, and you have to ask yourself what you have done for that effect to wear off. And what I mean by that is I am pro no sex in relationships. Don't give them. Don't. But not that you will not start. Yeah, so she keeps missing my calls as ended marriages. It's true. For men, they take it seriously, actually. It's true. But if my own, you know your marriage, know your marriage, and know my own is I told my husband, he knows that it's important to me. I've said it time and time again, then you will not travel I will not be the one to go say, oh, sorry, baby, I had to do this one. I had to do this. Okay. The next day, oh, this report, blah, 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 blah. No problem. When I now don't pick your call, I say, face your report. Oh. You see that report, you face it squarely. And then that's when you see that time for phone call will not come. But again, know what works. But for relationship, I beg, it's very important. If the person is not into you in that relationship, you would know. You will know. See, women are very intuitive and very sensitive. You will know when the guy is not into you. You don't need anybody to tell you. And it's not something that you need to start doing romance around. You need to create the sense of scarcity the minute it happens. I mentioned that my husband and I broke up when we were dating. That was the reason, actually. It was one of the reasons, not the main reason, but it was one of the reasons, and it was a big reason. Because I saw that the course started doing them. In fact, I think maybe just felt that my own questions were too much, my problem was too much, my standards were too high, this one, that one, that. So all these customer service things, we'll go to a restaurant, went to a restaurant in the East one time, like when he took me to go and meet his mom. Yeah, and when we got there to the restaurant, that's how, they can be very unquote. And that's how the girl was just doing anyhow. It was in emo, it was in Owerri. So just attending to other people. And because it was me, my husband was saying I should tell them what we are going to eat. And the girl would just look at me like and just continue what she was doing. At that point, I said, Madam, I'm speaking to you. I am speaking to you. You cannot be looking elsewhere. You can't attend to people that came before me. Please, I need you to attend to me now. And as I was saying that one, my husband did not like it. Because he felt that I should just be begging them. And me, I don't understand why I have to beg for something that we'll pay for. When I came, I said that he doesn't like the fact that I'm harassing people, I'm creating a sin. I said, no, I'm not creating a sin. I'm just demanding for my rights. She cannot be attending to other people when I'm here. That we are human beings too. She should have apologized at least. And that the fact that I even told her that, Madam, please attend to me, and she did not answer me. That's why I caused the sin. He was not telling me that, in fact, there's no know if he wants to continue with this one. Continue now. Anything you want to do. I didn't say that to him, but that was the body language I gave him. And so at the point, I knew that the calls were dwindling and everything. When I saw that the calls were dwindling, me too, I just left him. I called for the first one. When I saw that, I was not asking myself, what's going on? And I'm not saying it was that incident wasn't what resulted in this distance, but distance came over time. And by the time I picked on it and everything, I just left him, gave him his gap. In fact, before I gave him again, I told him, I said, see, I'm the one calling you today, but we'll get to a point where I will never take your call again. And I mean it. And he said, so if you don't pick my call, so what? So what? I said, okay. And that was it. I didn't call him for the first 3 days. And he did not call me back. After 3 days, that's when he now started calling. I did not answer his calls for 3 months. He came to Ibadan for, I think after a month, right? And he was calling me. He didn't know his way around Ibadan. So he would come, we'll meet in a restaurant. He had told everybody to call me, his family members, my family, everybody, my mom. I told them, I said, I'm done. I'm done. I told him over a period of 1 week that I'm going to get to that point. And when I get to that point, there's no turning back. And so, again, it's another thing for you to go and be making threats when you have not invested anything. No. At this point, I think we're like maybe 4 years into the relationship. No, it was like 3 years plus. What is the value you've brought into the relationship? What is the value you've created around yourself? So that when there is scarcity, when you are not there, celebrities, when they create an illusion of scarcity, and then they now come out and bring out one song like this, all of us will rush and go and listen and buy, right? You can only create an illusion of scarcity when you have created value. When there's no value, they're not going to miss you. Nobody will send that you are there or not there. All right. Okay. So the next thing, okay, share with me topics or conversations that get you sensitive. So you have to ask all those questions, right? Yeah. What are the things that get to you? You have to ask. Is it the tone of voice? Is it body language? Because you see this rudeness thing, you don't even have to say anything to be rude. The way you look is rude. Now, I mentioned that my husband was saying that he doesn't like the way I was putting my foot down. Today, if my husband wants to get something back from anybody, it's me that they used to send. Though. One carpenter that did not want to pay him his money. My husband I just heard him complaining, grumbling. He'll be calling the person. I said, what's this one you are doing? What's this? I said, give me his number. I called the guy. One phone call back like this, the money appeared. The same thing with Ethel. You know, Ethel was just acting up. My husband was romancing them, doing this one, doing. And the funny thing is that the guy can be firm. When you see him at work, he's a totally different person. He's an action man. But when it comes to other things, he's non-confrontational. And the conversation they were having, it was my children's assignment. You see, my head was just doing me popcorn. I tried to leave that place. And he would still come and be lamenting about the thing to me. I said, do you want me to intervene? What do you want? I said, maybe you should talk to them. Oh. You know how it is that they will come with their pride. They don't want to say, please talk to them. I said, yeah, maybe you should talk to them. I said, okay. I just called the head people. They said, I said, nah, I'm not getting off this line. I'm not getting off this line until you have resolved this data issue. And you will reimburse us on this call. What's your full name? At the end of the day, we got it. He will not look like this. How do you do all these things? I don't know. I don't know how I do it. Maybe you want peace. It's good. Let's be doing the peace together. But I'm the one that when we see police, I'm the one that knows how to use emotional intelligence on police and where he's doing, I'm a man. All right. So you have to also know the personality of the person. I already know that me, I'm a mix of choleric. And so I cannot go and marry the person that is choleric like me together. That is a go-getter that executes. If I think about it, I'm executing it on the spot. I need somebody that can also be helping me to pipe it low and say, please, let's think about this thing well. Let's think about it well. All right. And I just think that maybe it's the God factor that helps me, and I'm not able to do it and get it overboard. But find the person that Debs. I can't see what's happening in the chat, but I'm just seeing small pop-ups here and there. All right. Another question. Have you ever been incarcerated? You should ask those questions because you don't want to get married and after 6 months they come knocking, or people that he has offended and carried their goods. They will not come and be fighting. You are the one that will not be dealing with the emotional pain of the fact that every day they come to carry your husband, and then the whole neighbors know that they are carrying your husband every day. So ask those questions, right? Have you ever had any police case? You know, you can start with saying, how do you handle police case when it happens? Babes. All right. Another question. Are you able to put me before your family? Somebody asked me this. Are you able to put me before your family? Why do you want him to put you before his family? Are you dragging road? Anyway, but I think that what the person is trying to say is, and for one thing I always say is, I never want my husband to have to choose between his family and me. No. And so how do I do that? I make sure I'm as invested. I'm even more invested in his family than he is. I mentioned several times, I'm mentoring 24 people in my husband's family. I paid for their costs, social media costs. All these things I told him after I've done it. I sent all of them data. They use for the courses. I train them actively every day. They do Bible study every day. Christmas, I sent all of them money, 5K, and I sent to their mothers as well. Those kind of things, my husband can never think about it. It can never occur to him. The only thing that will occur to him, maybe when we are coming back to Lagos, anybody that he sees, the people that came to see us, will give them money there. But for him to, he will pay school fees of the people that maybe their parents reach out to him to say, we need this, and he can't do that. But that he will sit and just think about somebody and say, no, this is Christmas. Let me do this for my family. I am the one who does that. I'm the one who reminds him if we have to do it together. But the things I've done for his family, right? They are not things that my husband can ever think about. So what value are you bringing? And so when you get to that point where you have elevated yourself in the eyes of his family members, nobody will be trying to drag road with you and tell you that. I mentioned my sister-in-law lives with us. She's been here for 7 years. We have fought 2 times, not fight like physical fight, but 2 times. I had to put my foot down on some things. However, she's not in doubt that I love her. Any Instagram live I'm doing, she's there. If I'm doing anything, she's older than me by 5 years. But the way she honors me, it blows my mind. She's not perfect too. She has plenty things that she does that, but she has a childlike heart. If my maid is off, she will help. Before I come out, she has helped to clean. She has cooked. How did we get there? Because she sees I respect her and I treat her. And she's even the adopted sister. Like, she was child of my mother-in-law. I don't say it to her. My children don't even know this. As far as I'm concerned, she's my husband's younger sister. Every month, I send her money I stopped sending her money when she did that thing that I did not like. I stopped sending her. And I don't report to her brother. I don't report her to her brother. I don't have that kind of time. I will only gist him after I've resolved the issue. And I'm not telling him as per reports, go and warn your sister. Just let him see what Ogechi did do. And the reason I'm telling him just for his information. And so my husband never feels the sense of, he doesn't feel a need to protect his family around me because he knows that my intentions towards them are good. I'm the one that will say, these people, let's send them money for business now. He knows my intentions towards him. So even you as a woman, as you are asking the guy, are you able to put my family before you? It's because you are not doing the things that you need to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they are not terrible families, but we're talking about people in courtship now. We're not talking about people that have married and their family members are not good people. I'm talking about you're in a relationship. You're not saying, are you able to put me before your family? No. It's better to say, can you defend me when an issue comes up between your family and I? Than saying, are you able to put me before your family? Do you understand? Please, I want to be sure that what I'm saying is making sense because I'm trying to process it to myself.
Yes, so it makes sense,
Yes,
guy.
it is.
Thank you. Why is that you able to put me before your family? Because he has known his family all his life. So why do you want him to put you before? Because you're already pitching yourself against them. And men
Against
don't like
them.
it. Yes, and men don't like it when they have to choose. It stresses them. In fact, do you know conflict? When you go and tell your husband what his family did, if he defends you the first time, defends you the second time, he will start seeing you as a problem the third time. I'm telling you for a fact, that's how they reason. The next thing you hear is manage them now, deal with it. That's what you will hear. And so you don't want to bring yourself,
100%.
to that place of see finish. You don't. You don't want to. It's that place of see finish. Once you get to that point of see finish, is you against them. Like they've thrown you as a goat into the lion's den. And his family can smell that vibe. My sister-in-law is never going to go and report. In that quarrel, all the quarrel we did, she has never going to report me to my husband before. Never. If you go and report me, if you want to keep malice with me, plus you, plus your brother, two of you. Two of you. So she knows that I'm the one who, my husband doesn't have time. He feels that he has sent her to school. He does not have time to go and be asking her, have you eaten? Is your menstrual pain paining you? Have they paid your salary? Are they still owing people? I'm the one that will go and ask those things. So she doesn't want to lose that. And then, are you reporting me to my husband on to say waiting up? I know they cross my boundary. I know they enter your room. I only enter there when it's me and her to my say, please let me zip my clothes. I'll tell her, let me pack my hair. Do you understand? So you have to also respect yourself for them to give you the respect that you deserve. Now, I mentioned in that mentorship group, there are people, my husband's older cousins are there. There's somebody of 50-something years there. There's somebody that is older than him with 1 year that is also there. They don't engage as much as the younger people, but they are there. What it says to me is that it tells me that, oh, God sees my heart and he sees that I have tried. He validates the effort I put in. So when my bad side come out, I'm causing problem. Me and my husband are quarreling. He will remember that this girl, she did try for my family, but she used to have occasional score. He will not throw me away, throw the baby and the bath water away. We will still manage. All right. So you have to have earned some points in some other areas that are your strengths. So don't start by asking him, can you put me? Once you say that is a red, the guy will say, this one will not want me and my family to be put. And imagine if he's a mommy's boy. Some people say they cannot marry mommy's boy. But the way to marry mommy's boy is to marry him and marry his mommy together. So don't start by telling yourself that I'm not going to marry someone that has mother-in-law. You're going to rob yourself of the beauty that comes with having a good mother-in-law. It's to us to pray that God will give us eyes that see. And when we see, we will see the women that have problems. There are some mother-in-laws that don't want anybody to marry their son. They want their son to have children, but they don't want the woman in the picture. There are mother-in-laws like that. So in that kind of instance, you will now ask yourself, use your tongue to count your teeth. Is that something you want to contend with all the days of your life? Some people get into it and they win. And they win eventually. But it's a long road. It's a long road. Marry mommy first, then sin by extension. Do you understand? So let us think about it critically. But there are women that are genuinely just good. And it's now we, the single girls, that will now say we don't just want the mothers there. You don't want the boy's mother to visit. You don't want the siblings to ever visit. Then if you're that kind of person, then it's better for you to marry somebody that you know that all his family members are abroad and it's only him here. or he's abroad and his family members are here. But even if that one, you can't even escape it. Because one day now, one of them will get visa or want to come to school. You say they should not come. Eh?
Yeah, so with what you just said now, I remember something I saw on the internet, a comment when one lady said that she's just praying that by the time she meets the person she wants to marry, she hopes his parents are late. And I was like, how demonic can you be for you to
And so
wish that you don't have any mother-in-law because of what stories you've read? You don't know whether the person that's going to be your mother-in-law will be the best woman on earth. You're already just
and it's a
like,
thing. It's a
it
thing on
was a
social media.
thing. It was a
Yes.
thing. Like she
Thank
cited it
you.
so confidently in the comments. Like, why? I don't get
It's a
it.
thing. It's a thing. A lot of people say, see, my mother, Sister Rufia says her mother-in-law is a blessing. And I think the problem is even people who are enjoying good relationship with their in-laws are also afraid to say it because they don't know whether saying it will now make evil people now scatter the relationship. But there are very good in-law relationships. They exist. My mother-in-law used to make sure anytime she sees anybody coming to Lagos, she'll buy stuff for us. You know, and she used to really sing my praise to everybody, and I didn't know why. It was later that I understood her experience with my husband's brother's wife. That one is no, she's kind, but you know how it is when you get into a family where they are already poor. Your husband is not rich. Then you're not going there to go and form. My father is richer than your father. Why did you not marry their son? Why did you marry him? Why didn't you bring the money and come and transform their lives? So there are people who do that. You come from a maybe not privileged self. Your background is just normal, but you are better than your husband's people. Then you now come there and now come and be giving them classism. I'm bigger than these people. Like I can't sweep. I can't. So I didn't understand why my mother-in-law liked me until later somebody said that thing I did when my husband took me to go and meet them, and I saw the clothes that they packed that they wanted to wash for her, and I said they should let me wash it. And to be honest, I wasn't doing it for them to marry me because you have not chopped me. No one marry, leave. I'm not going to give you. I washed those clothes. I washed the clothes. And you know what was worse about the clothes? My father-in-law had prostate, so he used to pee on his clothes. So those clothes were part of the things that I washed. And they knew that I was serving in the bank. So for them, it was a big deal for them that I could do it. Now, it was more of a big deal because the other daughter-in-law they had, when they went to their house, because they went for checkup, that one gave them a separate cup, separate plate, separate spoon. That's supposed to be a good thing, right? But those things, they had separate sponge for washing it. They had separate broom and packer for sweeping their house. So my mother-in-law was seeing those things and said she was treating them like lepers. You have questions on this washing clothes? That's
Sorry,
fine.
please.
Yes,
Please, let me just chip in something at this point. I'm
yes.
sorry, but let me
No, go
just
ahead.
chip in something on this point. So you see this thing about, because there's this plenty stories about, don't go and wash in his house, yeah, don't go and cook in his house, yeah, don't this one, don't this one. You see the chopping parts, maintain your non-choppiness, right? But if cooking is your thing, I know a lady that
Yeah.
she met this guy, and the guy is let's go out and hang out. And the girl said, me, I don't like hanging out because really, I can cook. I really don't enjoy eating out. Bring the money, let me cook for you. And then the
Yeah.
girl will cook. When she's done
Mhm.
cooking, when the guy she will pack food and send to his mother.
Yes.
Then this guy used to have a lot of women around him. So at some point, she said, you know what? If you are still going to be packing women around, I'm not interested in this relationship again. She said she sat down one day, then one woman called and said, who is this? I'm Bosun's mother. Ah, mommy, what happened? She said, no, there's nothing. That she just noticed that there's a bowl of soup that used to follow her son home that she has not seen for a while. That she asked him, what happened to the girl that used to cook this soup? Said, please come and see me. Said, wait, the woman was like, no, you have to tell me what happened. Then the girl now said, well, I think your son is not very serious because there are always all these female women, these girls flocking. And he says he's not the one that's calling them, but they're always around you. Can you not, decide what you want to do
Dismiss them.
exactly? You have to find a way. That the woman called her son. You will kill me. One of you. Have I not told you about all this nonsense, human beings? See this girl. Do you know how I knew that somebody was in your life? That it's not that the girl could cook. And she was like, she didn't care. That for her, it's just her personal, do you get, it's her. So if
I
the
used to
relationship
cook
did
and
not
send to
work,
him too. I agree.
Do you know, if the relationship did not work, it won't pain her that, and I used to cook and send to his mother. It would not even occur to her because she was being herself. So this thing that you see on social media that they say, don't go and wash for him. If washing it, be yourself. Ruth was herself, right? Esther was herself. Be yourself, because if you are being yourself, even if something happens and that relationship does not work, you will not see them saying, and the 15 boxers that I washed, the one that will pay you that you cannot collect back is your vagina, that they have helped you, you cannot collect it back. That one, Otilo.
Oh my God,
Yes.
oh my God.
But if you were washing the plates because you naturally love washing plates, it shouldn't be an issue. Do you get? So I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to correct this impression
No,
of they
don't be
say,
sorry.
don't go and
I
wash
love
their house, don't go and this one in their house, don't go and don't
exactly.
touch what you
No,
cannot
I
finish.
agree.
I don't, it's not
Who is this,
big.
Sister Lade? No, absolutely. I love what you said. Let me share something. So after we did traditional marriage, I not still give the man. To be honest, when you have done traditional, people have married before God. But for me, in my head at that time, what marriage is church. So the interval between a child and white was 1 month. So after child, of course, two of us were in the same room together. That's why I was not saying, but we are married, robbing me, robbing me. I said, calm down now, control yourself now. You don't say, but we are married. What are you saying? I've waited this long. I say, wait, 1 month cannot kill you. I begged him. Finally, when it was the week of the wedding, because I wasn't in his house, they brought what's it called? His people came. So I remember I said we're still managing ourselves. So they stayed in his house. This house I'm telling you is just one room, and the kitchen is outside. You have to come out and enter the kitchen. But guess what? From my purse, I went to go and buy stuff. I didn't ask my husband for this money. I went to buy stuff. I cooked it in my uncle's house. I was living in Goshen Estate. So you can imagine me and Goshen Estate, then Surulere. But it was Ogulano Drive. Ogulano Drive was a good place, but our house was not too okay. Mighty rats used to fly around the environment. So I cooked. I made a pot of stew. I packed it in the bowl. I made soup. I packed it in the bowl. Then I cooked white rice and I took it there. At this time, my in-laws did not know that my husband and I were not staying together. So they came. Where's your wife? Where's your wife? And we don't stay together. Why? They are traditional people. Like, what are you talking about? Why is she not here? What rubbish? Have you not paid that dowry? By the time now said, okay, what are they going to eat? Who is going to cook for them? Husband now brought out. He said, she sent food because I sent my uncle's driver. Now brought food and they sent it. They called me and they said, with the way you look and the work you do, I never thought that you would know how to cook. That's so thoughtful of you. That's so thoughtful of you. I thought that as we were here, we now have to start cooking and everything. That you are not even here, you did all this. Well done. So his auntie was there. That's his uncle's wife, one senior uncle's wife. She's not a young woman. And that was the beginning of impression formation. And so we'll be shortchanging ourselves when we are doing this one. That after all, preparing for wedding. Are they not supposed to know what's the home training that your mother gave you now? Even if mother did not give you home training, as a child of God, when we say let your light so shine, what does it mean? We think let your light so shine is when we carry Bible and when we are praying. I always say praying for 100 hours and carrying Bible. Okay, after we have now carried the Bible, where is the place of putting to work the things that we have learned? I said a lot. The questions are still plenty here, but let me stop here so that people can ask me questions. All right? Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay. If she continues talking, we're not going to leave here today.
Yes. For your
We're not
questions,
going to
please.
leave here today. So okay, Chama says she has questions on washing clothes. Do you want to mute?
Let
Do
her
you want to
unmute
type in the chat?
Yes. Mute.
Please unmute. Yeah, please unmute. That's the only question in the chat. So if you have any question, please raise your hand or type it in the chat and I'll be glad to help you read it out. So Chama, please go.
Praise the Lord. I don't have question again, Sister Bumi. I've answered my question.
Okay. Don't follow all these internet uncles and aunties. Their reality is not our own.
No,
That's
they
it.
do
Just
Many of
internet
them are talking
uncles and
nonsense.
aunties do it
They're
at
talking
home.
nonsense. Yes,
They
they
it's
do
do.
it at
true.
home. They kneel down to
Exactly. Then
feed
they
their
come
husband at home.
they
Don't
come to the
follow them.
internet and be forming shoulder pads.
It's a lie. Go and
So
see them
it's
in their
fake.
house
It's true. It's true.
washing clothes.
But
Don't
brother
mind them.
Kadi,
It's true.
Okay, Sister Rife, your hand is up. Please unmute and go ahead.
All right, good evening. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes,
We
we
can hear you.
can.
See your
All
sweet
right.
voice.
Thank you so much. I think this has been really great. So I have girls, old and young, so it's fantastic. Thank you so very much for sharing. I do have a question around this whole test thing, though. Yeah, to be candid, it does rub me kind of the wrong way. What's all this testing about? Right? Why would someone say, "Oh, I have to test you and pass my test"? What does that mean, essentially? So I hear
Okay.
you when you say, if this is who you are, go and I'll see if I can just give a little story, if you don't mind. So I
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
cousin. I have a cousin. She's a couple of years older than me, right? And when she married like an intertribal. Well, all of us are intertribal married, but she was like the first, right? And so she married a Yoruba guy. We are from Bayelsa. So when she went to visit the family for the first time, she didn't bother with any mommy, let me. She said, look, I don't do that. I'm not doing that. So people should know me from now. If you say that you don't want this as wife, you know it's from the beginning. So let's not be fooling each other, right? But I wasn't like that. I was very, you have to, you have to act like, you have to act like. But all of that was a show. It was pretense, right? So it was, when you're doing something, you're like, see, I'm even pretending, are you even not? It's not even giving me the desired results. So why am I bothering with this foolish pretense? So the idea that someone comes to your house and I want to test you, what does that mean? So I have girls, I
Okay.
have boys, and I know that. So I'm very careful about all of that because I know that I'm going to be the mother-in-law, at some point in time. So what's the question around this test? Why can't he? Would it be off to just accept the person for who they are, right? What's the test? In my
All
mind, the
right.
test is how compatible is this person, with my child? How good is this person for my child? To me, if there's any test that is going to happen, shouldn't that be the test? And that's why the lady in the chat, I'm like, I want to hear what the test is. I really do. Because,
All right.
so I know
So
that it's got a lot of connotation on social media, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way. So I just want to, what are our views, around the room today? Thank you. Let me stop here.
happy to share. And I think that's a very good question. So this is it, right? Same way we are profiling these men is the same way the men and their families will profile us. We always think that as women, we are the prize, right? But again, we don't realize that saying that the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. When a son gets to a marriageable age, parents are also as apprehensive about who their child will settle with. Same way we women are. And I think that the apprehension is not far-fetched. It's from the basis of, will she come and spoil everything that we have worked for? Will she wreck our son? Many of us also don't realize how badly broken marriages also affect men, good men. I'm not talking about the men that are not serious. Good men, it breaks them too, that their marriages are not working. That's why you see that a guy's BP can rise because he's having issues with his wife. He might not be making as much effort as the wife expects him to make, but it affects them. And as a mom, I will not be happy also that my child comes to tell me that my wife is giving me issues. I want us to look at it that way, that my wife is giving me issues, she's not giving me peace. Now, the test is intrinsic in our culture as Africans, where to them, to parents, right, to our parents' generation, they just assume that, oh, if she can cook, if she's sensitive enough to assimilate, adapt to our environment, right, she warms up to us. It speaks to how she has accepted us, because everyone wants to be accepted. Now, for me, my standard, my two of my brothers are married now. And for all the times when they brought the girls to my house. I was the one, I had cooked food before they came and I served them. So imagine that I finished cooking, I've served them, sis, watch it. Me with my low cultural expectations, the girl will now stand up from the dining and come and sit in the sitting room and leave the plate on the table because no, it's not me, I'm not going to do it. I want us to unmute, sisters. What would you think of that kind of girl? because she's trying to say she doesn't want to form.
Not respectful, actually.
Back to
Yep.
sender.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you because everyone is trying to form a perception, right? So the same way, like you would have trained your child, if you eat, you carry your plate to the kitchen, and then you have this grown pretty woman, and she leaves her plate on the table. There's problem,
Yes.
So
Yes.
so I think we call it a test, and I know if we look inward, we would have, found ourselves in situations where
We all test
we had
people. It
might not be
might
a
not be a
deliberate
test,
test.
but we all
It might not be a
profile
test.
people.
Exactly. But then you profile. Do you understand?
Yes,
You
all these
profile.
questions that we want to ask. The people that are
Do you
asking test
understand?
questions.
Like you profile, like
You have given me questionnaire.
exactly. Like I have a 7-year-old child, and then first day in school, I made a friend with this Nigerian boy, which was fantastic. I mean, you have a Nigerian friend and stuff. And then weeks down the line, this Nigerian boy started saying things like, "Oh, don't play with your sister when you get home. Oh, don't talk to me." Like started giving attitude, and I'm like, I'm not raising you this way. This friendship, I better scatter. This is friendship between two 7-year-old boys. Like, I'm not joking. But I'm thinking, I'm not raising you this way.
Oh,
I'm not raising you to be a petty boy. If someone in school is teaching you how to be petty,
a
how to be a
chauvinist.
bully,
He's a chauvinist.
that friendship has to end by fire,
I'm
by
sure
force.
that Nigerian boy was an Igbo boy.
Yeah.
Our people.
So the whole idea of, so it might not be test per se, like, oh, there's a test, we're marking you, but it's all about perception, right? How do you want to be perceived? And a lot of times we perceive good people in a bad way because of something they did or did not do. So the same way you go for an interview and you want to be of your good behavior because you want them to employ you, when you go outside, and you're with in-laws, or you're with a group of friends, or you're trying to network, you want to be perceived a certain way, so you bring your best foot forward, So I know this thing happens all the time, because even in my head, when I go out, so, in my mind, I'm like, did you have to say that? How would that have been perceived by other people with different experiences in life, So I think it's just about being careful. And I think it speaks to maturity. If you're a mature person, right? And you're going to meet a group of people for the very first time, you put your best foot forward. You don't have to pretend, but then you really want to, put your best foot forward when you're meeting new people, especially people that will become your family, the grandparents, your children and stuff like that. You want to be good, that's if you're a good person. If you're not a good person, then that's a different thing entirely, but if you're a good person, you want to be perceived in the right light. That's just my take on that.
Oh, sorry.
I have a question.
Please let me just chip in something here. So we call it test, yeah, but can we change it to value check? So you have your home, you've raised your children a certain way. That trait is like the way Abraham raised his children, with certain laws that God had given to him. Why was he blessed in the first place? So that he could teach his children some certain laws. And God gave him some.
Don't marry from other places.
Don't marry from other places, because I do not want these values that have instilled in you scattered, because you have a purpose. So it's the same way we have value system in our home. And then your son now goes and brings someone. So it's not even about sweeping. It's not about cleaning. Do you get? It's more of, does this get? Some people raise their children that family is one. And then you now come and ask the question, will you put your family, me before your family? No, there's no relationship happening. There is not going to happen. Do you get? So it's a value check. And before you go and meet somebody's parents, understand their family values. Do you align with those family values? If the answer is yes, you will pass whatever test it is, because you already know their values and you align with it. There's no question they will ask you. There's no broom they will ask you to carry, even mortal and pestle. Because you are aligned with the family value, you will pass. So it's not a test to you anymore. It is a value check, because as they are checking you, you are checking them as well. So that's how it is. So it's not particularly we're testing you whether you can cook or you can. They have family values that they've raised their children with. If they've raised their children with togetherness, you now come and say, mommy, that is how Uncle Weze. He now took
That's not how we do it in our house.
That's not how we do it in our. Sorry, you are not marriageable. They which hates you, your leg will be touching the back of your head. That's just how it is. So it's not about test. It is checking if the girls value, and if their value is respect, you will better be calling everybody sir and ma, because that is their value. You either align to it. If you are not aligned with it, or you were not raised like that, well, decide when it is, and when you are deciding, decide by multiplying it by 10. That's why I always tell people, when you see something you don't like, multiply by 10. Can I deal? If you cannot deal, respect yourself and leave the place. Simple. God bless you.
You know, another thing we don't realize is how Jesus Christ identified with the culture of all the people that he ever went to their villages. The only rules he broke were things that would make the lives of people better. Healing the sick, preaching to them. But every other thing, he made sure he did right. When he brought coins to him and asked him, okay, what should we do? Should we pay taxes? Should we not say give to them? I don't want problem. Give them, if that will make them happy. You know? Sister Chomzi, take it away. Let's have your question, Choma.
Please, because, that's a single. They have not paid my bride price. So I do have personal interest in this conversation.
That's fine. That's fine.
Now,
and I can't see your mind.
So, yeah, I do thank God, but at least in this life I've dated. Yeah. The ex-boyfriend I have, I thank God I didn't marry. But his mother was very good to me. I think that's why the relationship do last long. She was very good to me. Yeah. Anytime I'm going to the house like this, she will have cooked. She will not call me, I've cooked, my dear. Anything you want to eat. And then used to ask me to sweep broom, and because this really do stress me out. When we go to somebody's and they come and say they are sweeping, they carry leg up. Even in my mommy's house, I didn't used to sweep. I will walk. The mommy, well done, no, I will pass. They make I'm not a good child. No. They make I didn't have respect. No. But maybe we need to pray for discernment. Sorry. Test value, test this thing. I don't really know. It used to stress me out. And this is me actually being honest, because and funny enough, I think that's one of the reasons I don't want to date Igbo men. I'm sorry. Our people have problem. My dear, I'm saying it
but
now.
the problem that you think that Yorubas have is that problem of respect, where you call
no, don't worry about that.
There.
Yes, I know that the Yoruba people have respect, but I do understand their culture more than our culture. Our culture have problem. I'm sorry to yeah.
Oh
but
my God. So what is your question?
I'm saying, yes, that's where I'm going. Please, I want to clarify, because I know that, in this whole journey, like the self in it is maybe like 2%, and God is the 98% that is remaining, and that's where discernment and all that comes from. But how do we separate between like Sister, I think Lade was saying, there's value check, honestly, and I think that there are just some things where people are just funny, and this is me being honest. There's just people being funny, and maybe because I've seen I have friends who are married, and I've seen their story. It's not my story. Like I always say, I'm going to have a very beautiful marriage, or in-laws and all that. But I'm just saying, how do we differentiate before somebody will go and be collecting something? We say they are doing value check. That is not value check, and somebody is just being funny. Am I making sense?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, wait. I think I understand what she means, because some people take advantage, right? Because they know that this person is just coming in and they can just start bringing up different interesting things just to frustrate your life, just to stress you extra. Some come in and they're just literally mean to you and everything. That's why I said, when you're going in, you are yourself. If you do not have the time of the day to speak with the person on a normal day, that is you. But that you that is going, know that you will not get anything, because nobody likes somebody that is not polite. So know already that from your own end, you are polite, you are respectful, which is why I said, check. See the person that is taking you there. Check him first. If he does not know their values of their home, there's already a problem. It was not well taught, meaning it is scattered or confusing.
Oh,
But you see, from the person that is taking you there, you can understand. The person should be able to tell you. And I say this for, people that are going to get married. And I'm saying this also for people that are raising children. Your children should be able, I wake them from sleep. What are the values of this household? They should be able to tell you, because that's what grooms them from now on till they become adults. So anybody that, if you meet a dude, by speaking with him 10 minutes, you should be able to tell his values. And from those values, you are able to know what you're going to go and meet in their house. Yes, you will meet some people that their head is not correct. It will tell you that this one's head is not correct. Do you guess this person? These are the people you will always know from the guy who he respects, why he respects the person.
Yeah.
A man doesn't just take you everywhere. In fact, it takes you to some specific people.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they'll take you to some specific people, because those are the people whose opinion counts and whose values have raised him to be the person that you now met.
Yeah.
You guys, so it's a very long conversation, because you don't go and meet one anyhow person that they've raised and was not raised well. You both be confused together. But if you meet a solid person, the person will take you through the system, and you won't fool yourself and he won't fool you. You will see it and then decide, okay, great, my value aligns with it. So it's not about whether you were cooking or you were, even if someone is being stupid, he will tell you, he won't even take you to that person. He will take you to the ones that are serious. He will take those ones, he will just mention them by the way. By the way. Do you get that? I don't know if I've been able to answer your question, Trauma.
Yes, sis, you did really, really answer me. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
It's Trauma. Do we have any other questions? Okay, Doc.
Okay, good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Nana, it's a very lovely. I really had to be here today because we always say a lot of things on the group, and I'm really glad that you really delivered today. You said a lot today, and I really appreciate it. Now,
Thank you.
where
What's
we are
your real name, Doc? What's your real name on the group?
Osura. My name is Osura.
My school mother.
You did not know it was me.
I don't know. I see Doc. I said we get two Doc where I know. There are other
Yeah,
docs.
no, not Dr. Chichi. Oh, okay, I didn't know. All right. So what I just want to say is that in all of this, I think grace sometimes works for us. Now, why do I say that? Now, I come from a background. My mom told us expressly, you do not wash clothes for man. You do not wash plates. You do not do anything for man. You're not going there to sleep. She brought us up like that, And when I met my own husband, he had wanted to marry somebody some 3 years earlier, and his sisters didn't agree. So I think for a while he stopped communicating with them. He was abroad. So when he brought me, fear did not let them talk. They could not talk, So there were they hid their body language very, very well. They dare not talk because they know that if they say no, this guy will go. And they desperately, he was almost like an only son, But into the marriage, they now started revealing all their characters. Things that were not really based on anything real. So stuff like she's from Edo State, so she can be a good wife, Things that didn't really make sense, and trying to make things difficult when our children come to your house, you must cook. My own policy is, if you come to my house, okay, welcome, enter the kitchen and cook. Cook for all of us. I don't mind.
I cannot get it. My chest is.
Sorry. Hello, please.
Why are you calling my
I've
name?
muted. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Give me.
We should raise our children right with values, and our children should be strong enough to know and wise enough to know how to display themselves. Of course, you have to put your best foot forward all the time. Please let me excuse you. Nigerian match. Don't be annoying. Sorry.
They are shouting here too.
But it's like we are winning. I don't know. But let me excuse you. So basically, just put your best foot forward and pray always. That's just it. Thank you.
They say Nigeria won.
Yes, Nigeria won.
Thank you, Jesus.
Please, this is going on our YouTube.
We
Excuse you.
win, yo.
Sisters, thank you so much. We have been here for 2 hours. In the absence of any other questions, we're going to have to let each other go. We are not done with this topic. We have to find another day to do a second part. And because there are even some questions, even as a married couple, even though you have already said the I do, there are some questions that periodically, you're still supposed to ask. After you ask the ones from before you said I do, you have to ask the ones after you said I do. Yes, you want to grow together as a couple. Let me give you a classic example. Let me give you a classic example. What was your impression of me when we met, and how has it changed now that we are married? Do you have liver to ask that?
Every day they ask.
Do you get
you are setting yourself up for outbreak. You like your outbreak.
I'm just saying that, these are questions, these are follow-up questions that you probably ask every year. If not, how will you know whether you're growing?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know if you're growing. So we will continue, we will continue. Thank you, ladies, so much for sticking with us. We don't really apologize for taking your time because the class was very interesting, but we are sorry for taking your time, Thank you, Nenna. Thank you so much for doing so much justice. Your singles that did not come, I am going to make them pay for the replay. I'm not going to post this.
Go ahead.
Give me, maybe I'll speak to Marian, like what should be their penalty,
exactly.
for missing this.
Marian took this penalty.
Marian joined, but I think she had to leave at some point.
Network is poor. Don't mind me. Our network is poor.
We're in the season of love.
Most of the singles were on the meeting.
They were where? Okay.
Most of the singles were on the meeting. Thank you.
You say most in there, babe. How many singles do we have?
5 people were on this call.
Today. Actually, we are just 18 today. So yeah, she's right.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you so much.
So we'll post it.
Honestly, I'm actually considering it because I've been getting a lot of feedback like that lately. So I'm thinking of doing.
Here's the thing I was going to ask you. I think you need to do an ebook on questions to ask and just post it and put a tiny little fee. It will shock you about, it will shock you. Just do like a small ebook on this, questions to ask before you say I do.
Yeah.
Nana.
I also want to say that your
people.
I also want to say that your. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You also want to say what?
Okay, I said I think Nana. Sorry.
Okay. No,
okay, maybe they should raise their hand so we know who will go first.
After you.
Yes, please.
I think Sister Anya was trying to talk. Sister Anya was trying to talk.
Okay. Okay, Sis Lade, please go.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that your tact is spot on, right? The way you con questions, extremely spot on. I think when I joined this call, I'm like, it's for singles. I'm not a single person. Let me drop off. And then you ask your first question, oh, this is how you say it. This is not how you say it. I'm like, makes sense. And then throughout this call, like the way you present tact is spot on because sometimes you can't change your spouse. You can't change the family of your spouse. But then the way you present yourself, the way you're able to tactically communicate, like it's like everything. So I would say, thank you so much for teaching us, how to be tactful. And in writing that book, you should write a whole chapter on tact, you understand? So that, we can be more tactful in the way we deal on a day-to-day. So thank you so much.
It's amazing that you say that because 2023 was a tough year for my marriage, right? I said my husband is like my best friend, but I said he annoyed me. And you know how it is that you have been managing him after he lost his mom. You are trying to pity him to say, okay, he lost his mom because, his mom died and he was in guilt because he felt that he could have done more and everything, even though he couldn't have done it. He was eating, and he affected us because he was literally like living in his own bubble. He ignored us. And so by 2023, I'd had enough and I was giving it back to him. So I said, we must go for that therapy. Whether you like it or not, you need grief therapy. You're going to, and so he kept saying that I was acting like a demon, that he does not understand this minute you're a nice person, the next minute, I said, you brought out the demon in me. So it was really hard. 2023 was a tough year. And so I'm grateful to God that you can see this because now people people talk to me about stuff, and when I answer them, they'll be like, "Are you a certified counselor?" And I'm like, "I'm not too." But again, I realize that God is steering my heart in that direction. My 2 degrees are in psychology, so I think I'll take it
Oh,
seriously.
nice. Yes.
Mm.
Yes, you should.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you very much. Doc typed in the chat.
Sister
I don't know whether
Onye
she
and
still
Doc,
wants to
I
go.
think. Sister Onye and Doc.
So Doc said, Sister Onye said yes to that ebook, and then Doc said, I think
Okay.
you should mentor young people. So
I actually
those
do.
are the 2 things. She does. She has 2 different mentorship groups
I
aside
have
from
to
the
go
people that meet
into
her one-on-one basis. So
So
that's
she
already yes
refused my
to one of them.
application. Okay.
She refused mine too. She said I no reach. So don't worry. Let's gather and take a selfie.
I said, you people that are already in PhD and they're already big, they don't need it. You guys already learn. The people that I'm doing are from the grassroots.
Are you the one that will send me? Do
I
you know
know.
my incapacities?
I know your maturity level. You don't need it.
Wow. Okay.
Coming for mentorship. Oh.
Prayer mama. I beg you. We don't need prayer mamas there. Now people
Sister
want you to
Bumi,
pray.
hi.
Leave up our young children. Leave up our young children. All of you are old. Nena, don't mentor them. We are
How dare
bringing you
you?
people, fresh people.
How dare you? I'm not old, oh. How
Sister
dare
Bumi,
Can
you?
I'm
anyone hear
treating
me,
you
please?
specially.
Hello.
Who's telling me? Oh?
All right. Sister Bumi,
Greeting
please
you
pray for us so that we
specially.
can close. Thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
for
much.
mentorship now. I want to go and be rejoicing over South Africa.
Yeah, pray now. Start prayer over here. Close us.
Okay, Heavenly Father, we worship you. We thank you because in the beginning you were with wisdom, and with wisdom you made all things. We thank you for your daughter whom you have expressed your heart desires through today. And we know that it's not just mere words, for the words that we speak, their spirit and their life, and they are sent forth to achieve something in the life of each and everyone on this call. I know that our time has not been wasted, and that you have established your kingdom in the hearts of the people here present, in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we ask that the words that we have heard today that will transform our lives will not be taken away in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Our perspective, our thought patterns, our words, our actions will align with your heart desire for marriage in the name of Jesus. Father, you will teach us to be discerning, to hear and recognize wisdom, and shy away and refute and reject deceit in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we say thank you, we honor you, we ask that you bless your daughter. We know that you're steering her towards a greater goal, and Father, we ask that she will not fail you in Jesus' name. That the structures that you have built around her and that you have built for her will not fail her in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we say thank you, we honor you, we bless your name for this evening. In Jesus' mighty name. And Father, we thank you that we beat South Africa.
Amen.
Thank you,
Amen.
Jesus.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Jesus.
Glory.